right. So I think I'll just like flip back and forth to the chat because I don't know. You guys can ask questions, whatever. I literally just finished this like 5 minutes ago, but I promise I didn't make it up. It's, I thought about it. There's work behind it. But I'm going to be talking about public relations, basically because I have dealt with a lot of strange customers, and I'm sure anybody that has a reselling shop or custom shop or so much as trading has dealt with some strange people or just some uncomfortable situations. And so I just want to give some general tips for that, but also expand to running a shop and keeping your information safe and some shipping tips and stuff you can do to save money. So, if you're watching this on recording, hello. First of all, also I want to do an ad break. I made these cats and none of them have sold yet. The standing ones are 40 bucks, the sitting ones are $35, and you should buy them because they're really nice and cute and I love them. And then you'll have like a little memory of the festival. If you want to buy them, they're linked on my Instagram or Etsy. You can find them. They're out there. Okay, and also a disclaimer, I don't know nothing, but I'm not certified in anything. So I don't own like my own company. I'm not a mailman, I'm not a psychology student, I'm not a marketing student. I'm just gonna talk about my own experience. Um, but I have a decent amount of experience and a decent amount of tips. So first I wanted to talk about customer service. Thank you, Collie. Okay, so like I said, difficult customers. Sorry, I'm like talking kind of robotic. I don't know. I'm just like it's weird because I can't see you guys reacting to me, but I trust that it's fine. But basically, so I was originally gonna go through and like share messages that I had from people, but I think it's more effective to just talk about how you can treat people with respect online and what you should expect. And so some points I want to make are the most important thing, if you take away nothing from this presentation, is just remember that LPS are seen as a childish thing. There are a lot of children in the LPS community. If you do any kind of business, you are going to talk to a child at some point. And if you do business with adults, they may have a childish bent. I mean, I know I do, but if you are one of those adults, you need to be professional online in spite of your quote childish interests. Um, and also something that I didn't know before I started selling customs is that I would do a lot of orders for people's parents or their grandparents. They'll say like my daughter wants a custom of this. I don't really understand what this is. And when that happens, just explain to them how it works. Be ready to explain your process. I found that they really like it if I send pictures or if I ask like, does your kid like this? Or give them a couple options, just be friendly. Also a reminder, 90% of the time people are not going to read your listing descriptions. Even if you put read description in the title, they're not going to read it. And this is not I'm saying this is not something worth getting mad about every single time it happens because it's going to happen a lot. Just don't just be ready for it to happen and have your information written down in a note so that you can just send it to them when they ask. Because it's yes, it's annoying when I get asked for the millionth time, oh, what are your prices? But I kind of understand, especially if they're asking me on a different platform than the items being listed on. And it's always things can change, so you might want to check with the seller. I don't know. And if you are dealing with somebody that's bothering you, don't like clap back at them. Don't make fun of them to their face. Don't call them, say that they're wasting your time or that they don't respect your small business. Just rant about it to a friend after, be respectful. And if things get to a point where you're like, I just can't do business with this person, you can just stop talking to them. It is the great thing about the internet is there is a barrier between you and who you're talking to. And I'm going to come back to that when I talk about social cues, but I'm going to take a break to talk about shipping. So for those of you that don't already like have a bunch of experience with shipping, and this is packages, not relationships. I personally think it's best to print your labels out in advance. If you don't know, you can do this and then you don't have to go when the post office is open. You don't even have to go to the post office at all. You can just go to a box. Um, and this is with USPS. I know that other services have this. I'm not entirely sure about like Royal Mail or anything overseas, but generally you can get prepaid labels for less to save time. Sorry, I'm dragging. But pirateship.com is a website that my dad actually found. It's a third party that's like partnered with UPS, USPS, various postal services, and you can ship internationally with it too. Um, I'm pretty sure you can ship from any country, but I could be wrong. So if I am, I'm really sorry. But it helps you, again, they're partners with these services and they can help you save a lot of money. Usually a label is $3 for me instead of like $4.50 when I use Pirate Ship. Um, and when you're packaging things up, like reuse stuff from packages that you get. As you ship more and more things, you will have more and more bubble wrap and envelopes. If it's like destroyed, you don't have to keep it, but it's just always great to reuse stuff. And I don't know, it's kind of exciting too because you feel like creative and whatever. Some supplies you'll need are a tape gun, a printer. A tape gun is like a roller with the clear packing tape on it. I don't know if everybody calls it a tape gun. Bubble wrap, envelopes, boxes, mail tubes. I recommend buying them from Office Max instead of like Amazon or going to the store and grabbing some off the shelves because you can buy a lot of them for a lot cheaper. I bought about 100 mail tubes for like $60. And because I bought big ones, I cut them up into smaller things for LPS. So I have like 300 mail tubes that I got for like $60. And same with envelopes, you can order tons of them. Just get a bin to keep them in. Stickers, extras, and those little bags that everybody has. You can get those on eBay, Amazon, whatever. But again, you'll get those as you ship more and more packages. I'm sure many of you have them already. And I like to just anytime I'm like, if I find something on the ground, even like I find stuff at work all the time that's like little keychains and stickers that people leave, and so I take them home and clean them up. If don't steal people's property, but like if you find something or if you get party favors, save that stuff for LPS if you're not going to use it and send it in packages because it's great. Oh, and a scale because you need to put how much the package weighs in your labels. I touched on shipping internationally. I don't want this to be like US centric completely, but I think that most people in the US think it's a lot of work to send internationally. I think if you live in Europe, you definitely have more experience with it because I mean, you could just drive over there and it is not, it's really, really easy, especially if you do prepaid labels. And if you've never done it before, you should talk to your postal worker and have them help you fill it out. But really, all you need to do is sign a form that says the date that you sent it and what's in the box. I usually just put like toy or animal figure and how many and how much it weighs. And again, if you do it at the post office, they'll do it for you. You just tell them like animal figures. I know I'm being embarrassed. People send weird stuff all the time. And you should consider if you don't pay for tracking, sometimes the only service, depending on the country, will include tracking. But if it doesn't, keep the receipt and always, always, always invest in insurance. The only time I have ever had a serious issue with an overseas package, I didn't have insurance and I ended up just having to remake the custom for the person. I mean, I didn't have to, but it was a disaster. And so I always if you use sites like Pirate Ship, or I know the Etsy Labels program, they will include up to like $50 of insurance. So unless you're shipping like tons and tons of valuable goods, then you should be able to cover it with like a standard service. And always look that up in advance or estimate. I think you can always charge more for shipping and then tell people that you'll refund them once you go to the post office and figure out how much it will actually be. And if just always look at the differences between your address and their address, because a lot zip codes are formatted differently in pretty much every country in the world. And the reason I talked about mailing tubes is because they're a great way to save money when shipping internationally, because it's very expensive to send boxes, but you can send a small mailing tube, like what you would get a poster in, for like $10 to $12, and it's still like a cardboard solid outside, but it's a lot smaller and it's a lot cheaper. And you can cut them up, like I said, you just need two pieces on the end to seal it. And so what if it breaks? Or what if you get scammed or lose the thing that you shipped? It has not happened to me often, but it has happened 5 times. I've sent about 600-ish orders. That's not all customs. A lot of it is trading and stuff, but the times that it has happened to me was all customs. One time it was my fault. 3 times it was an accident. 2 out of those 3 times it was their dog ate it. And one time it was the post office's fault. That was the international disaster. And I think the best thing to do is, I mean, take accountability for it. But if it's like their dog ate it, you don't owe them their money back. Just say, what I usually do is I say, if you can set, here's the return address, send it back to me and I'll fix it for free and send it back to you. You might have to eat like $5 in shipping, but it helps to keep your reputation up. And I mean, with the international one, it was with the Royal Mail in the UK. They literally opened and broke the customs so badly. Like, I don't even know how they did that, because I could have thrown it on the floor and it wouldn't have broken that badly. They must have crushed it or ripped it apart or something. And because the person was just like, and they waited months to get it too. So that's why I buy insurance now, because if that happens, and save receipts, because if that happens, then you have some ability to get your money back. Even if you end up having to spend more time. Sadly, things are not going to be on your side a lot of the time, but if you package things right and if you stay on top of what you bought, you reduce the risk a lot. And it's not common in the first place. The one time it was my fault is I sent a pet with a broken neck peg. I just glued it. It snapped in half. I glued it back together. It snapped in half when it arrived, and I was like, "All right, that's my fault." So I had them send it back, and I replaced the peg, and I sent it back for free. I feel like that was the right thing to do. And as for preventative packaging, you should always like. I mean, this is mostly with customs, but secure stuff. It's a valuable pet. Like, put bubble wrap around the individual pets instead of just throwing them in there. You don't have to do that if like the wall of the envelope has bubble wrap, but it helps, especially if it's a long distance. And I use sponges in between the bubble wrap. I get like little sponges from nail art, or you can also use like a cotton ball and just put it around the sculpting to kind of create a barrier between the breakable piece and the wall. If you wrap it really tightly, it's going to be more likely to break. And so sorry, that was kind of boring. I'm going to move on to social cues. I think this is probably the most important part of my panel. And I first want to just talk about like having mutual respect and some of my pet peeves when talking to people online, even if I'm not doing business. Um, both sides of the conversation have the right to speak. So, like, if somebody's being, I don't know, authoritative, you don't have to respond the same way. And you don't have to shut down what you're saying either. I think the two main phrases that annoy me are, and with all due respect, because I know people say these just trying to be polite and trying to get information. A lot of the time people will message me and at the end put sorry to bother you. I'm so sorry for bothering you. Um, you know, I think you should say if you want to thank someone for their time, thank them for their time. Because if you say sorry to bother you, you're you make them feel like they have to come for you. And also it's just like I don't know, it makes me feel bad because like I don't want to be scary to people. I'm just a person and they're just a person and so I you shouldn't you should never have to apologize for speaking, you know. And you should never as a seller make someone feel like they're wasting your time, whatever. And also with replying hello, I get a lot of people asking me like, "I'm sorry I message you so much. I'm sorry I ask about the custom so much," or like check in on shipping. And there's nothing wrong with that. I always am like, "That's totally fine. I get it. I would care about my item too." But it's really only bothers me when people will say like, any updates on the custom and then 30 minutes later say hello or just a bunch of question marks or something. Um, and it's just gonna bother both people because the person sending it and as at the same time as a seller, if they haven't responded to you, if you have like a question about their design or whatever, just wait. If it's been like 3 days, you can say like, "Did you get my message?" But you don't have to. People will see it. You don't have to persist. But keep in mind that perception is subjective. Those things bother me, but they might not bother you. They might feel like just the right thing to say. Um, and I think the most important thing to remember when talking online is that you can't see each other's faces, and this is a good thing because it allows for more like direct, honest contact. But like, it is also a gateway to a lot of misunderstanding. And so, if you're talking to someone that doesn't speak the same language as you, or they do, but it's not their first language, just be respectful if they don't like I get this a lot when I'm talking to LPS Lover QA because there's a big language barrier, but and a lot of the things they say just sound very like direct and kind of accusatory, but I don't think that they're meant to be that way and I'm not going to be like stop bothering me, stop talking like that or respond insulting them because it's just the way that the translation happens to be. And you could always, again, perception is subjective, meaning that anybody could see anything you say anyway, and that is both to your power and to your defeat, I think. You can always come off as friendlier, bossier, sweeter, or more pitiful than you intend. And by that I mean like you could say sorry to bother you, but you're trying to be polite, but it sounds like you're being like, "Oh my gosh, I'm the worst ever." And I just this is something you should take as a reminder to just think about what you're saying. Um, but at the same time, like if you make a mistake, it's okay. And I hope that it is not something that would make you think I can't talk to anybody because I could make a mistake because they could take it anyway. I know I definitely feel like that sometimes. I know people that never want to talk to people online because of that. Um, but as long as you know, like, sorry, if you know that you might have issues with it, just be honest about it and just say, like, I misunderstood what you said, or, oh no, I actually meant this. My bad, I don't, you should not be putting up a front that, like, you know everything. You can be confident without pretending like you know everything, you're not making any mistakes. And the person you're talking to should not think that you know everything. That's it's unrealistic. Again, you guys are both just people negotiating a deal. LPS is usually a small casual business. And just you don't have to apologize. Again, both sides of the conversation have a right to speak. And speaking with intention, meaning that you are speaking for a reason with what you say, it does not mean that you are trying to get the person to think you don't make any mistakes. You can apologize when you have to, but you don't have to apologize all the time. And then I'm gonna move on to a quick thing about drama. If especially if you are a business account, just try and stay out of it is my best advice. Like this is just my personal opinion, but I don't think you should make call out posts or highlights, and I don't think you should if you see like two people talking about a scam or somebody that might be dating someone, just I think the best thing to do is avoid the people involved. You can read about it if you're interested, but don't post publicly about it if it doesn't involve you. Um, and I just want to say, like, you're not a bad person for being interested in gossip because like, everybody is at some point. But it's really important to not get involved if it doesn't involve you because, again, if you're a business, it looks very unprofessional. I follow a lot of art accounts that I have seen like get involved with stuff that was just totally petty and not worth talking about. And then I see like a lot of people get mad at them later on and they're always very defensive and on edge about stuff. I'm not even like thinking of specific people when I say this. I just let things go when you can, and when there's something going on in the community generally it's okay to have an opinion about it. It's okay to read about it. It's okay to even talk about it with your friend as long as you're being respectful. But it's generally not a good idea to get super invested in it and post about it and join the group chat it's happening in and talk to people and share screenshots. It's up to you to figure out your moral stance on this stuff. It's up to you to figure out what's right and wrong. I personally don't think it's right to engage in a lot of this stuff, but I also have the guilty pleasure of reading about it sometimes. And so I that's on me to figure it out, but I try not to post about it. I try not to get involved in it because it just makes me look immature. And you don't have to post about it to figure out how you feel about it. And I made this silly little chat example. If some and because sometimes even if you don't go looking for drama, people will bring it up to you in a group chat. So in this example, the Saint Bernard is like, "Oh my gosh, did you hear about this?" And the person just says, "No, that's really bad." And then they usually will move on and not bother about it. Also, small promo for LPS Taylor official because she's really cool. But the thing you should not do is immediately blow up if somebody brings up drama in a chat you're in, immediately blow up and be like, "Oh my gosh, no, so true. I hate this person. They're the worst. I just hate people that are like this." Because in this example that I made up, I mean, it's kind of based on reality, but I made it up. The other person ends up screenshotting what you said and reposting it. You know, the principle of anything you say can and will be used against you is true online as well. And so you're allowed to hold opinions, but you should be respectful when you're talking about people, especially if things, again, don't involve you. In this situation, the two people talking don't really know the people that they're talking about. And finally, sometimes you have to back out of a deal, but it's uncomfortable. This goes for trading, selling, anything, even like an art commission. You can just, it's totally normal to back out for whatever reason. And so I came up with some ways that you can back out politely while still being honest and confident. So usually I would start with thank you for the offer, but you know, it's always better to say thank you for your time or thank you for your patience than sorry because it just again, it just looks more professional. But be honest about your reason, I'm not interested in your pets. Somebody already bought this. I don't want you to have to keep these on hold. I'm not sure if I want it, so you might not want to keep them on hold. I've got a lot going on right now, work, school, and I can't ship a package. Um, I know I offered this LPS, but I actually really like it, and I'm kind of regretting that now. And or I know a lot of customizers that are like, I don't want to do demons, I don't want to do gore, I don't want to do anything hateful. And you should absolutely not feel pressured by someone to accept a trade, accept a customer art commission, because if you're not comfortable doing it, because you can always regret it. Even if it's a minor thing, it's like you might never get that LPS back. You don't If you don't like doing gore, whatever it is, it's okay. Like, just be honest about what you want, and finally follow up by saying like something helpful. Um if you don't want to trade with them in the future, you don't have to say I would be happy to trade with you in the future. Like, again, don't lie. But maybe I'll get back to you later. I wish you luck finding your dream pet. If you have any other custom ideas, let me know. Or like, hope you have a good day. Thanks for your offer again. Or the best one, my friend Hoot Owl is willing to do gory customs. You should shoot her a message. And finally, I'm going to talk about finance and security. I think I'm about like halfway into the time allotted. And I just want to remind you again, I don't literally know nothing, but I know nothing. I'm not certified in anything. I'm not a stockbroker. I don't know stuff. I don't know stuff about finances. I don't read tech bro books. I have done finances a couple of times. And so this is going to be more about like where to put your shop and how to keep stuff safe. And there's like, you can always use a third party platform. Personally, this is my choice because even though I know a lot of people in the LPS community, I don't have a very like wide follower base. It's kind of all centralized to the LPS community. Um, and I'll get to that on the next slide. But if you are selling just LPS by themselves, I would go with a site like eBay or Mercari over Etsy, because there are people that sell them on Etsy, but you can't do offers, you can't do auctions, um, and you have to pay to list each individual item. And usually, people that sell LPS sell a lot of them. Although the eBay fees are higher, the eBay fees are going to be the highest, but they have the most secure platform, in my opinion. Anytime you have an issue as a buyer or a seller, you can open a case and almost always get your money back. You can use PayPal through any of these services, but eBay has had a history with PayPal and keeping things secure. So it's sometimes worth the extra cost. I know people that sell customs on eBay, but I choose not to do that just because Etsy is like already marketed as a place to sell handmade goods. And because I make less customs again than I would be making listings if I sold just LPS by themselves, I'm paying 20 cents per listing. And so I am paying like $1 to have 5 customs up instead of huge fees on each of them. But like, I would make less on customs if I put them on eBay, because even though it's free to list, there's a bigger fee, and I don't have as many of them, and the listings will keep resetting if somebody doesn't buy it. On Etsy, they don't reset for 6 months. Etsy also allows you to put variations, put videos. So if you have like a custom item, you can, or if you sell, a way that you can save on listing fees actually is putting multiple items in the same listing. So like when I do glass eye bases, I put all of them in the same listing, and I make a variation that's like the eye color or the animal, so that you can just pick it from that. And then I pay 20 cents for like 5 customs, not 5 customs, but 5 items. And in terms of like feedback and reputation, eBay has the feedback program and Etsy has customer reviews. So on Etsy, you can upload images. Your customers can upload images of what you made, which might be helpful. They don't always do that, but a lot of them do. And those reviews stay on for a while. Also, if a review mentions like fast shipping or good communication, Etsy will like highlight it on your page, which I actually didn't know until recently. So again, in my opinion, good for handmade stuff. eBay feedback is great because it builds up over time. The higher feedback you had, the more trustworthy of a seller you are, basically. Even if you get negative feedback, it's not going to show up as like red on your page. It's all a number. So the higher your number is, the more experience you have. And it'll give you like a percentage of positive feedback also. I tend to try and buy from sellers with high percentage of positive feedback because a lot of the time people don't remember to review or do feedback. And so if somebody's going out of their way to do positive feedback for this seller over and over again, they're probably a pretty good seller. And finally, I wanted to mention Mercari. I don't use it. I have used it one time. So I guess I can't really speak on it, but I just avoided it because I found out that you don't get your money until the buyer reviews the item. And like I said earlier, a lot of the time people do not leave me reviews on the customs that they bought. And so, because again, I'm selling to a lot of children or parents of children or people like you just might forget. I forget all the time and I review stuff like a month after I bought it. And so I just don't know that Mercari is a good choice for me for someone doing handmade goods and someone doing something where I have to talk to the person a lot. I think Mercari is better if you're selling things, trying to get them out quick and trying to get them out with minimal contact. So it's an option. It's good. It has very low fees. I think that's probably the main appeal is it's easy to do stuff. It's easy to list things and it's low fees. But there is not nearly as much seller protection as on eBay. Of course, there's a balance, there's a cost. And finally, you can do an independent website. I feel like this is only really going to work for like big LPS resellers. That's just my opinion because if you don't have like stuff will get promoted on Etsy, stuff will come up in related searches. You can add tags on both eBay and Etsy. So like it's you are more likely to get people that are not from the LPS community interested in your stuff or at least seeing your stuff if they're searching like if you make a Halloween custom and you tag it with Halloween, somebody searching for something else Halloween might end up seeing your customs and finding out about you, but they won't do that if you have a secluded website because you have to know you to get to the website in the first place. But there are no fees. So if you I mean, I kind of want to do this eventually. I just like I feel like I benefit a lot from Etsy marketing, so I'm hesitant to switch. But if you are making a lot of money consistently, again, if you're an LPS reseller, something like Wix is probably a good idea for you because you can, you might sell like two pets and cover that $30 a month fee. Again, all oh, by the way, all my dollars are in USD. And it's just but if you're not making that kind of money consistently, like I'm going to be honest with you guys, I do not run a stable business. I do not run a stable income depending on how much work I put into it and just how much people generally are kind of randomly interested in my stuff. I could make $300 in one month and 10 the next. It's totally random. I mean, it's not totally random, like I can influence it, but if you don't have a consistent like income off of what you're doing, then I personally don't think an independent website is a good investment. And it is a big time investment also. There's no like listing creator like a other platform would have where it would have the format and a way to display the shipping costs and the description in a listing format. You have to build that yourself if you do a website. There are some that can help you, but again, they cost money. And like graphic design. But on the positive side of that, you can make your website look like whatever you want. eBay, Etsy, Mercari are all very bland. So if you want to put cute graphics, I know a lot of the websites I visit have really cute designs on there. So yeah, if it's a consistent income thing, you should probably consider it. And then I also want to talk about protecting your privacy. I have run into very few issues with this, but the risk is always there, and that's the important thing to remember. I mean, obviously, never post anybody's personal information ever. If you do that, honestly, I don't think that people should treat you with as much seriousness as they would with somebody that's careful with people's information because they could say the worst thing to you, but you should never like put somebody's safety at risk. Um, and when you're trading, just it's a lot it's a lot safer than you would think, especially if you live pretty far apart. but talk to the person a little bit first. I know I like to trade with people that I'm already friends with more than just random people. Although I did used to just like make a post on Amino and be like, DM me if you have this, and actual 10-year-olds would end up trading with me. But it, um, it is, I'm sorry, I'm kind of forgetting like the flow of where I'm going. I just wrote this, but it is stuff that I believed and thought before I wrote it. Just I think I have this in the next slide, but again, remember that you could be talking to children at any time. So you are neither of you are like literally responsible for each other, but be safe and don't share stuff outside of conversations. If you must screenshot and talk to a friend about what's going on in the conversation, block out names, block out addresses. Always, even if it's somebody you know, like that person that you were talking to did not agree to having their address shared outside of that conversation. Um, and when you're making accounts and stuff, I've literally never heard of an LPS account getting, well, I have heard of Instagram accounts getting hacked, but not, you know what, never mind. No, I actually have. Use different passwords for your accounts. And there are free VPNs, there are paid VPNs. I share one with my family and I just like to use it because it also allows me to go to a different place in the world and search on their eBay site easier. But it helps to protect where your information is coming from. And if you do YouTube, if you do fan mail, definitely invest in a PO box. Again, never post your address publicly, but I kind of wish I have done this. I wish I had done this because I mean I can still do it, but it's like $70 a year where I live, and I'm just a cheapskate. But it's helps you feel more secure, and also you might have to wait a little bit longer, but when you go and get your packages, you get like a bunch of packages at once, and it's like a big present. Um, but it always pays to be safe, and just the important thing to remember, like I said earlier, you could always be talking to a minor, a child, and especially if you have purchased something from somebody, they have your address. And if somebody purchases something from you, you have their address. Um, and so don't, you know, there keep be respectful of that and be responsible with that. You need to be yeah, I don't know. You guys know what I'm talking about. I'm so sorry. I'm just like I keep losing the flow of what I'm saying, but I could just literally read what I wrote, I guess. But yeah, just be respectful of others. And when it comes to name and age, I would say first name only. Just my opinion. And I like to change my because you have to put a return address on like your shipping labels and stuff. I usually put my initials instead of my name. Um, when I have people trade with me, I'll tell them my full name to address the package to. But for return address, I always put my initials, and for receiving payment, I always put my initials also because it'll ask you for a first and last name, but you can just put like JT or whatever. And when it comes to age, just be responsible and be careful and act your age, Don't use it as an excuse. Don't be like, I've been collecting so much longer than you, you're an idiot. You know, if you're an adult, you need to be transparent about your age. If you're a minor, you need to be transparent about being a minor. You don't have to say what your age is. But people need to know that you're not an adult. And in my opinion, you should not be involved in trading and money stuff if you're under like 13, but at least like disclose that you're a minor. And don't, I mean, again, be responsible, act your age. Don't tell people something that you wouldn't tell a stranger in real life. Well, not in real life, but like on the street. And the community has been in the past targeted because it's seen as a kids community and there are kids in it. So you just need to be mindful of that. If you're an adult in this community, you do carry some responsibility to keep people safe. And I mean, really, the most responsibility you carry is to just act mature yourself. If something bad happens to someone else, it's not your fault because they're younger, but you you should not be starting stuff with children if you are like 23. Thank you, and good luck out there. Please ask me questions. Please talk to me. Okay, thank you, LPS Louise. Just yeah, I don't know if you guys have any questions or just any comments that you want to say. I just feel like I kind of rambled a lot. Um, any tips that you like didn't know or anything else that you would add from your experience? Because I was originally going to be like really specific, but I think it's kind of smarter and more helpful to like a general public if you're just talking about, oh my gosh, Kali, you had like weirdest experience with a buyer. There's so many. Like, there's so many, especially people that this is why I never sell on Facebook, because I know people that do sell on Facebook, but I know that there's just a lot of strange people on Facebook. Um, I'm interested to know, since I will get back to that question, Kali. Thank you, though. I'm interested to know, since you said you rely on Etsy for marketing, do you have any tips on SEO? I'm going to Google what that is real quick. Search engine optimization. Cool. Yes, I do actually. Like I said, with the Halloween example, if you caught that, or if you joined before I said that, if you make like a skeleton cat custom, or if you are selling, I'll do a custom example and an LPS example. Put things like Y2K nostalgia, LPS collecting, LPS accessories, um, LPS for sale, LPS customs for sale. Put tags that somebody who is an outsider to the community might be visiting just to like get a survey of what's going on in the community. Or I usually browse those tags myself on LPS for sale when I'm like looking for a specific pet and trying to see if anybody I don't follow already has it. But also the tags don't have to be LPS specific. I usually do like OOAK, one of a kind, um, or like custom pet figure, or again, like with sorry, I started an example with the like idea of if you made a skeleton cat and put Halloween as a tag, and then somebody, or Halloween decoration, think of ways that your item could be used by someone that's not in the LPS community as a decoration for something. If it's like holiday specific, Etsy actually lets you tag occasions, which I think is cool. Um, like separate from the actual tags you type out, you can select what occasion it's for, which I think is cool. And if you're making like jewelry or anything, all tag jewelry, tag accessories, tag like names of aesthetics, honestly, that people will be searching for, and get your stuff related to that. And I spend a lot of time researching aesthetics and following trends, because I mean, I find a lot of cute designs by doing that, and also it helps me like optimize things better and put my stuff into categories. I'm planning to use. Thanks for. Well, hold on. Thanks for the tips. It will be useful for my PO box in the future when I get older. Thank you. I also need. I am older and I need to get a PO box still, but like I said, I just don't want to pay for it, and I haven't had any problems yet. But that's really not the smartest mindset. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I'm planning to use Etsy, and shipping has always confused me. Do you have to have the item packaged in a way in order to determine the cost? I've had people ask before I've made the item and never sure where to go from there. Uh, you can estimate, but yes, you do need to know the weight. If you use the website, oh, that is not. I know. I'll get one. I know. I know. I am just like, It's expensive. But I'm gonna invest in it. It's on my list. I promise. But anyway, yeah, you do need to know. Yeah, exactly. In this economy, you need to know. Usually my packages are about 5 ounces if it's just like an LPS and some accessories. But they can be less than that. They can be more than that. But it has to be somewhat accurate because if you overcharge or undercharge, they do refund or take another fee. At least Pirate Ship does. I've never experienced that on Etsy. But also I think my packages are more accurate. So yeah, get a scale. If your parents have like a kitchen scale, you can use that. Just put it in the box and then weigh it. And use smaller boxes, more compact stuff to get it down. Um, but once you sorry, this is kind of like all over the place, but once you have done a few packages, you will probably know like, oh, it's going to be about $5. It's going to be about $10 to ship this many items. If that is helpful. But yes, do weigh things. Just it helps to take notes on your experiences the same way you would keep like a note with all your prices in it. um, Take notes on what stuff has cost in the past. Or, I mean, if you use like eBay or Etsy, you can go through your order history and see how much you paid for shipping. Um, this is the first time I've heard the packaging is included in the weight. Yeah, no, it is. That's why boxes are so much more expensive because they're so much bigger and cardboard is heavier than paper. I mean, I guess they're both paper, but okay, yeah. So weird buyer experiences. I I'm trying to think because the first one that comes to my mind was one of my first commissions I ever got, and this is one of the broken customs I mentioned. They ordered it, and they ordered just a plain blue Great Dane with a flower on its head, which is fine. I mean, like, if you like the blind bag designs, it's just like it was obviously a little kid, and so I was just kind of confused why they didn't have a more interesting design. Or, and I don't know, that's kind of mean, but like they didn't seem to know what they wanted. They just wanted like a custom. And so I made them just a solid blue Great Dane and sent it to them. And um then when they got it, they sent me a picture of they had broken the neck peg in half, scratched it up, and ripped off, like it looked like a dog chewed it up, and ripped off the flower that I had sculpted on it. And they said it was just like this when I took it out of the package. I took it out and it just exploded. And I was like, there is literally no way. I'm sorry, there's no way. And then they left a review and said this item is fake, 1 star. That's all the review said. And so I messaged them and I was like, it was just like you said it broke and then you reviewed that it was fake and it's a custom. So I don't even know what you're trying to say at this point. Exactly. Well, I mean, like I guess I use a fake LPS is maybe what they meant, but I have no idea. And so I messaged them and I was like, if you send it back to me, I'll try and fix it. Here's where you can send it to. And they just didn't respond and blocked me. So, I mean, I didn't lose my money. That's the only 1 star review I've ever got. And it really doesn't make any sense to me. I'm trying to think of others. Usually, usually if people are quote unquote weird, it's just like it's in an endearing way, like they name their custom something funny, or I don't know. Did they think they could scratch the paint off and have an authentic pet underneath? I don't know. I don't know, but if you'd pay $35 for like a mystery Great Dane. This was in like 2018, so stuff was much cheaper then. Main 5 pets especially. So if that was the train of thought, it's not a good one. Mm. I recently posted pets for trade, and like 2 people messaged me asking how much they were, and they didn't specify which pet either. So like I don't know, people just all the time on any platform, people just don't read what you posted, and it's fine. But at the same time, some people will read everything you post and scrutinize it. So think about what you post, think about why, think about what you're saying, and if it's respectful. You know, if people say weird stuff to you, you can just kind of go along with it sometimes. And I think I said this, but if it gets too weird, you can always block. I try not to block people because most of the time it's just a misunderstanding, and I could end up like closing a really good deal with them if I don't block them. But if you are more worried about like offending people or social cue mistakes, then that's an option. I don't know. I think the meeting's almost over. If you guys have any more questions, I'm glad that this was helpful. I have had fun. I just like I write something and it makes sense, and then I read what I wrote, or I try and reiterate what I wrote and what I'm saying, and I feel like it makes no sense. So that's just me being insecure about what I said. Thank you. But I do believe what I said is true. I just am like not great at public speaking. And I might try and make this PowerPoint available because I do think the writing makes there's good tips in the writing. Thank you. You're welcome. If any of you guys have funny experiences with people you've traded with or sold to, you're welcome to share. I think the meeting will just like end automatically. I'm not sure. Thank you. It's like it's my dream to do like a podcast and just talk about LPS stuff forever, but I would be so rambly. I would need like a million episodes of practice to get it down. Yeah, and I will think about getting a PO box. I'm actually going to look at rates again because the last time I looked was a year ago, so they probably changed. I usually end it when everyone leaves. Thank you, Pet Shop Pigeons. I see Beck Rose talking again. Please don't get mad at me for not having a PO box. You're honestly such a popular customizer, and with how the fandom looks like it'll grow next year, PO box is safe. Thank you. I appreciate the. Thank you. And yeah, that's a really good idea. I I have actually been anticipating more stuff next year, more unique audience, you know, from people that I've recently a lot of people come to me that don't collect LPS and want a custom for the nostalgia. So that's something to keep in mind when you're marketing also is use nostalgia to your advantage because you probably enjoy it and um yeah. That's why I like making like recolored or redesigned old customs because it's like you people will know the old LPS and have nostalgia for it, and so they'll be more likely to like it. And also, it's just fun. But yeah, I'm gonna head out. Thank you guys for coming. I think there's still like 5 people in here. But yeah, goodbye. Thank you again.